All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage for practice and qualifying all things Watkins Glen and all things NASCAR Cup Series for the Go Bowling at the Glen race weekend, as we have two groups of 25 minutes for the practice session, as we usually do for most of the tracks on the schedule here in the year 2025. And as of right now, Group 1 just beginning their practice session within the last 60 seconds. We'll have full coverage for you here over the next 2 hours. Qualifying will be immediately after practice here today, so that is something to look forward to. And then a doubleheader, of course, because the NASCAR Xfinity Series will be taking their turn at Watkins Glen for their race, and obviously the Cup Series side with the practice and qualifying taking place today. Their race will be tomorrow afternoon. Truck Series wrapped up yesterday. Again, congratulations to Corey Heim for getting the race win there. And sixth win of the season for him out of the first 17 Truck Series races. The raw feed for the moment on NASCAR.com does seem to be just a little bit behind. I'll try to log out of NASCAR.com and log back in again. I was like trying to find the raw feed before I went live, and I wasn't able to necessarily get there yet. Once we start to see drivers completing laps, I would assume that it'll just pop up on NASCAR.com like it usually does. But for the moment, we don't have anything. So we will highlight the point standings for the meantime coming into this weekend as we get started on today's live stream. William Byron comes in with an 18-point lead in the regular season title race. He just took the lead back from Chase Elliott following last weekend's race. Byron, of course, getting the 500. Chase Elliott only dropping down 18 points, still very much in title contention. And even don't count out Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin, who are 45 and 51 points below the cut line, but they still have a shot. Mathematically, they could take the points lead this weekend. We do have 3 races left in the regular season this week, obviously at Watkins Glen, next week at Richmond, and the regular season finale back at Daytona. Last year, remember, it was at Darlington Raceway with the way that the everything back. Daytona ended up being the second to last race of the regular season. Well, it's back on the regular season finale as we saw it for the few years before that. So as we focus more on that side of things now, the playoff picture, 13 different drivers have won a race so far this season. And of those 13 different drivers to win a race, those would include Denny Hamlin, who has the most wins. He has 4. 3 drivers with 3 wins of Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Shane Van Gisbergen on the last 3 road courses. William Byron picked up his second win of the year again last week, and we have quite a few drivers with still 1. Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry. 3 drivers would sit above the cutoff line on points entering this weekend. Tyler Reddick plus 122, plus 63 for Alex Bowman. Chris Buescher plus 23 is the last driver above the cut line. He had about a 40-point cushion. He lost quite a few points after getting involved in a wreck, not qualifying well last week. Ryan Preece was able to steal some stage points in stage 2, had a decent finish. Preece is now minus 23 points behind his teammate. Kyle Busch fell back a little bit further, minus 73, minus 87 for Ty Gibbs, and AJ Allmendinger, minus 118. And we've seen a lot of those drivers below the cutoff line have very strong runs through the summer months on the road courses. Ty Gibbs has back-to-back top 10s, including a runner-up at Chicago. We know the Dinger has won here before back in 2014 to get his way into the playoffs other than JTG Doherty Racing. He does have 2 road course wins with Kaulig, and 1 including the Charlotte Roval a couple years ago with the next-gen car. Michael McDowell, a road course win at Indianapolis a couple years ago with the next-gen car. He has had a couple of top 5s this season on road races. So look out for some of those drivers to maybe have a shot. If Shane Van Gisbergen has an issue of any kind, maybe gets back in traffic for a restart, if we have any awkward scenarios with caution to sacrifice stage points being middle of the pack on a restart, getting involved in an incident, or just a pit road blunder, speeding. Pit crew itself could make a major mistake, drop them back in the running order a bit. You just never know what could happen throughout the course of a full race. So those are the bubble drivers, and obviously at the top of the screen, you'll see the point standings in the chat below. Might have had some lagging issues there for the first couple minutes. We're good to go now. All right. So obviously USA Network and NBC taking care of the rest of the NASCAR schedule. This weekend's race will be on USA Network. As far as practice and qualifying coverage, it is on True TV yet again. So visual purposes, True TV is where you can keep an eye on practice. The live leaderboard is now reared up and ready to go. So we'll pull those practice times up. Justin Haley, currently the fastest of Group 1. His teammate Michael McDowell is second. The defending winner of this race, Chris Buescher, is third. Ty Gibbs fourth. Kyle Larson in this first group rounds out the top 5. Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilic. We'll get to see them head-to-head for the Cup Series this weekend. They're 6 and 7. Zilic running triple header duty this weekend. He was in the truck race yesterday, obviously a full-time Xfinity regular, and making, I believe, his 4th start in the Cup Series this season in that 87 for Trackhouse. Todd Gillen is 8th overall. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 9th. Cole Custer rounds out the top 10. Daniel Suarez is in 11th. Kyle Busch 12th. Riley Herbst 13th. Zane Smith 14th. Ty Dillon 15th. 16th is Noah Gragson. Cody Ware 17th. Catherine Legg 18th. 19th for J.J. Yaley and Josh Bilicki 20th. We will have a 40-car field, full field, for this weekend's Go Bowling at the Glen. Repping the Go Bowling paint scheme this weekend, Michael McDowell. Hey, that's a good car. Maybe he can pull it into victory lane. Great come from behind performance on the last road course race we had at Sonoma, where he was able to get a top 5 despite being further back in traffic in the late going of the race. Had one of the better longer run cars, looking to qualify up front this weekend and then stay up there the whole race and not have to come from behind.
Top 10s for Chris Buescher here at Watkins Glen, the defending winner of the race as well. But I spent some time with his crew chief Scott Graves, and he admitted to me, Steve, you know what? At Iowa, they kind of had a mindset shift that they have to race the 48 heads up on points. But man, that puts him in a weird spot for this race at Watkins Glen, because it's kind of the trade-off. You either race for the win or you race for those stage points. So if you're Scott Graves and Chris Buescher's your driver, what would you do, Steve?
Well, a year ago, this race was in the playoffs, and I think that's what helped Chris Buescher go to victory lane, a non-playoff driver, because so many of those playoff drivers raced it, as you pointed out, for those points. I think if I'm Buescher and I'm in the top 4 or 5 of this race, I race an accident, I like being aggressive.
Well, let's take a lap. Talk about the doing in the shift. Decided not to shift right there. So it's turn 7 coming to start finish line. Start finish line's right here. Look on the left side of the racetrack. Brake marks 600, 500, 400, 300. They're great visibility to just know when to brake. Right sides on the curve, accelerate. Watch them use all the racetrack. Why are they out here? When they turn into 2, they able to be wide open all the way through the hill. So they say if that far left off of 1 sets 2 up, which ultimately sets 3 up, going to the bus stop, interlude, whatever you want to call it, heavy braking zone. Watch this right here. Right side almost hit the wall. These curves have been slowed down. They're softer, so that's made that a little bit straighter, but it's made it more difficult in some ways because it's faster. Long right-hand carousel. This thing lasts forever. Go to the throttle. Use all the racetrack just so you can be in the throttle sooner. And now alternate start-finish lines right there. That is a lap around a very, very fast racetrack with a lot of passing opportunities. That's one of the things that I loved about this racetrack is you had really inviting corners with great braking zones, and then after them, another great passing opportunity.
Now use the alternate start-finish line for today for qualifying so cars can get off the track cleanly. Dave Burns, how's the afternoon going for you at Watkins Glen?
Hi, Marty. It's going great. Nice weather out here. A little bit toasty, but it's going to be toastier tomorrow. So why not get warmed up today as we stay on board with Chris Buescher last year? Remember, he's still on the cut line, right below the cut line. His teammate Ryan Preece, who had a great day, finishing 5th on the day. Buescher finished 22nd. So isn't it been fun to watch these guys, right? Same organization, one charging, one trying to hang on. And oh, by the way, the one hanging on that you're right on board with, he's on that line. If there's a new winner this weekend, he gets pushed below if it's not him.
So how is that, Jeff, racing your teammate for that final spot? I think you talked to both those teams. They're not changing anything, right? But it's kind of awkward in some ways.
Well, look, this is the problem with teammates. There's so many advantages in getting better. Teammates, driver to driver, working with each other, team to team, working to build faster race cars. But this is the time of the year where it becomes very obvious that you got to be selfish. You know what I mean? You're not going to, wreck your teammate, but you're also get to the point where you can't cut him a break. I mean, you're racing each other for a chance to make the playoffs. And so it's okay to be selfish. And I think it's required And no one is going to expect anything different. Now, Steve, that doesn't mean somebody's feelings won't get hurt. Because teammates always have, they always expect a little bit unrealistic things. But this time of year, it's very obvious what you have to make happen, and you have to make it about you and your team, and find the balance of continuing to work with.
Well, I think getting beat by your teammate hurts your feelings more. Because you know exactly what they have.
Yeah. How about this guy when we talk about, Steve, teams that think, hey, this might be our best shot to get a win? I would argue, in speed-wise comparison, McDowell's up there with SVG at the road courses, but Todd Gibbs was not far behind. He's in that mix for the top 3 or 5.
Well, he was so good on the road courses on Saturday. We knew that was an area of the schedule that he was going to run very good at. The real question for me is just, when's the breakthrough win coming? I think it is around the corner. I don't think it's in a crazy distance away. 110 starts. I would say you can't really measure the first 100 starts. I don't think it has to happen this year. I think at this point they're just continuing to build, but I think that's his only path. At 73 back, I think it's going to take a win for Ty Gibbs to make the playoffs.
Well, 4 drivers have gotten their first ever win right here at Watkins Glen. Chase Elliott, the last in 2018. Plenty more to come from Watkins Glen. Go inside the race with HBO Max, home of the NASCAR driver cam, just like you're watching Ty Gibbs here, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook and Straight Talk Wireless. Access every in-car camera and real-time driver data, multi-view options, and full team audio. Watch NASCAR driver cam all season long, only on HBO Max.
11 minutes remaining in practice so far. So just past halfway through the first of 2 groups of practice. Justin Haley still the fast time by 1/1000th of a second over Michael McDowell. Chris Buescher within 4/1000ths of a second of Justin Haley's fast time. Then you got Ty Gibbs in 4th, Kyle Larson 5th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 6th, Connor Zilic 7th, Todd Gillett 8th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 9th, Cole Custer rounding out the top 10. 10 laps of practice for Haley so far, who has the top time. McDowell's only ran 6 laps, and 11 laps seems to be the threshold for some of the drivers who have ran the most and are currently on track from the start to where they're at now. Buescher, SVG, Zilic, all running 11 plus. Probably just going to take one giant run all the way to the end of the session, so they'll be able to get close to 10 more laps in. If we look at the lap average side of things, speed so far for Justin Haley out of the gate for the weekend. And we'll get to see how the Group 2 times intertwine with our Group 1 times when they do get their chance to hit the racetrack for 25 minutes. 121.363 mile per hour average on the fast lap for Haley, 72.674 at the Glen. Yeah, 9 cautions in the truck race yesterday. That's quite a bit for a 72-lap race. Schedule distance, of course. They only had 1 caution per incident stage 1 and stage 2, so it was mostly stage 3 where we saw all those yellows take place. Obviously, the 3 overtimes, having a handful of them very late in the going. Shahir Gaming and Entertainment, welcome into the stream as well. If you haven't voted yet for your predictions as to who will be the pole sitter for today's race, you can vote in our chat poll. That will remain open until we get through Group 1 of practice. Again, the format for qualifying on the road courses, it is a timed session, and there will be 2 different groups. So timed session, 2 different groups. Obviously, the groups that they're practicing in right now will be the groups that they can go out in their allotted time for qualifying. Try to put down the fastest lap possible. You can run as many laps as you want. But you have to get the lap started at the alternate starting line before the clock hits triple zeros.
And Group 1 out on the track. It's over 8.5 minutes left for this group. Zane Smith finished 5th here last year, Steve. One of his 2 career top 5 finishes.
He's looking for that sort of momentum swing this year. If you just look at the road courses, 27th at Sonoma, 14th at the streets of Chicago. Go to Mexico City, not very kind. The driver, the 38 either. So,
and this team cannot buy a break, can they, Jeff? I mean, Christopher Bell wrecked him in Indianapolis, and this happened with Carson Hocevar last week.
Well, it's been week after week. They had a pretty good little stretch going, and then every time he turns around, somebody's running into him. And I talked to him in the garage last week. His frustration level is pretty high about the speed that he feels like this team is bringing versus the results. And he just feels like he's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time and keeps getting run into. And I think he's about over it.
I would say so. As crew chief obviously approached Carson Hocevar after the race on pit road last Sunday and expressed his displeasure with how things went. But it happens, right, Steve? I mean, your frustrations, you got to realize for them, it was 2 weeks in a row. Christopher Bell handled it the right way after Indianapolis. He literally went to the hauler and apologized to everybody. But how do you think Carson Hocevar handled all that afterwards?
I don't think Carson Hocevar cares.
I think you're right. I'm just curious, like,
So I'll take Carson over the
is
guy.
that good or bad?
I'll take the guy that doesn't care all day, every day.
Really?
Absolutely. I don't have enough time to care about everybody else. It was a mistake. Maybe a text message or you see him in the driver intros. But I just think that, like, man, this is really, really aggressive racing and mistakes are going to happen. I think Christopher Bell's in Indy was super aggressive.
That was pretty
Like,
bad.
he catches the guy in the rear bumper.
bad.
I'm not picking on Christopher. He'd say it himself. Like, the host of our wreck is just racing. Like, I think, yeah, maybe shoot him a text or see him, but I'm okay if you don't feel awful. Like, and it's going to happen. 36 weeks of this.
You're fine with a take a number tweet.
I would take a driver who doesn't care over one that feels bad all the time.
Well, last week, that wreck you saw how many times?
Yeah, I guess that's my point.
That exact same thing happened in return along with multiple drivers. So a guy like Carson, when he gets in something, everybody immediately does, see, he did it again. But you have to pay attention to the entire picture. And so, yes, he made a mistake, and Zane Smith pays the price. But that mistake happened many, many times.
If you were going to text everybody you made mad last week, you'd have to have a something.
Now, I will say this. I don't need a crew chief in my face after the race.
That's what, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Driver, come talk to me. We'll have this conversation.
Yeah.
But crew chief, you need to go away.
I'm with Jeff. I let the drivers handle what happens on the racetrack. It's just better that way.
And those are the thoughts of Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte. Mama Smith, what's happening?
Hey, you guys are talking about aggressive drivers. Well, I'm down here in the pit stall of AJ Allmendinger. I got their car chief, Jaron Henley. Jaron, I talked to Trent Owens earlier. I said, whose job changes the most when you guys come road course racing? He said it's our car chief. He has the most on his plate. What type of things do you have to do different to prepare for a road course race that you do for oval?
So, I mean, essentially, the Gen 7 car has common parts for everybody, right? The oval stuff, I don't want to use the term repetitive, but because they're all different, but you use the same parts everywhere. So one of the biggest things we got to look at is bringing different parts to the road courses because some of those parts do change. Another one of the things is technical inspection. The overall weight of the car changes. Also, you have to worry about left and right weight, which oval races, you just kind of worry about passing the right side and optimizing that. So with road course racing, you've got that new overall weight bracket, and you've also got to worry about the left and right weight to optimize the performance of your car and pass tech.
Jaron, the guys were talking about aggressive driving. You have one of the most aggressive drivers on the road course in AJ Allmendinger. How aggressive should we expect the 16 to be today?
I mean, he's aggressive for sure. I think we'll have a good car, so we'll just see how it goes.
Jaron is one of the OG guys of the college racing.
I love how Mama's taking us inside these teams and interviewing some crew members, Steve. They put in just as much work as anyone, especially on warm days like today. SVG, just 6 fastest. I mean, new contract in hand. Trackhouse announced that on Thursday. Multi-year extension for him to stay at the team, but just 6 fastest. Does that raise a little bit of an eyebrow for you, Jeff?
A little bit, but not a lot. I mean, I think his strength is really when the race starts.
We'll plan on just going a little bit longer here. We'll go a little bit longer. I think his comfort with the car is to the point where he doesn't have to show his hand the whole time.
Well, that's what Chase Briscoe said after the Sonoma race, right? He was trying to catch him, and he's like, I could tell he had way more in the tank, and I was giving it everything I had. But we'll see how it plays out for SVG. Qualifying coming up in just a minute. How about Kyle Larson? Normally, you'd have a session, Steve, and Watkins Glen where he's won before, but just a bit quick for the 5 team.
Yeah. The thing is, it's really hard to tell. He's only a 10th off the fast time. So you can kind of throw a blanket over one another. He's run 12 consistent laps. He's third on a 10-lap average. I think he's third overall on average. So I actually think the bot's really, really good. He's second on 5-lap average. I think Kyle Larson had a lot of things going his way. He just didn't run that fast lap.
Man, if you look at the 5, 10, 15, Justin Haley on top, he's also on top of the speed chart overall. But Steve, we got our answer. The current top speed would have been 15 quick in practice last year. And granted, Group 2 still to come.
Yeah, I think the track's going to pick up. Group 2, it seems like the track obviously is even a little cleaner.
Seems like SV2 and Connor Zillich are both kind of just riding around and letting folks go around them. Dave, I believe you caught up with another Trackhouse driver.
Part of Group 2 will be the guy who was on pole last year, slept off all the talk about everybody else and went out there and put down a good lap. What about this year with the different tire, and what's your outlook today?
I mean, hard not to remember how good we did on Saturday last year, Dave. Much like Chevy, obviously my teammates are the high water mark. I think imagine being me, a Trackhouse driver on a road course. It's so challenging. Just trying to learn. I didn't grow up doing this stuff. I did all circle track racing. And even at the farm, the tractors were only allowed to turn left. That was my dad's rule. I don't know why, but JDI farms, all tractors turn left. So now as I learn and have put over a decade into turning right, I've got the best teachers, and I lean on my group on the one. Obviously, my teammates in the other 3 cars.
All right, well, he'll get some practice on this new tire here, see what he can do in qualifying after he goes in Group 2. And maybe I'll tell him how my combine last week only turned left as well. So that was
Yeah, I wondered about
part of the
whole
conversation.
only left-hand turn thing, Dave. I mean, that, we got to ask his dad why that was the rule. The other Trackhouse driver, Daniel Suarez, and I think the tough thing for Daniel Suarez, obviously not coming back to Trackhouse, Jeff, but if you look at the sort of the free agent driver market, there's not a lot of seats open for 2026. So it's where does he go? And at this point, does Daniel Suarez considering maybe moving to the Xfinity Series and showing what his talent can be?
Well, the question is, where does he go then? Like, there's not a lot of movement in the entire garage. And so all 3 garages really, well, Xfinity and Cup for sure. I don't know so much about trucks, but there's not a lot of movement happening in those 2 series. So look, Daniel Suarez is a Cup winner. He is a very good race car driver. He is a motivated guy. He will be racing. I'm not worried about that, but I just don't know where he's going to end up. But that makes running well even that much more important.
Sure.
It just simply does. And you have to show people you can do it. No matter how you've done it before, they care about what you can do now. And so that makes every race that much more important for him.
No question. He is auditioning right now for 2026. Red flag out for Group 1. Justin Haley, the quickest at Watkins Glen. And I tell you what, tomorrow you're going to catch a good one on USA. And last year's race, absolutely chaotic here at the Glen. Going to be a fun one tomorrow afternoon. Let's start at Watkins Glen in upstate New York, the super sway of road courses.
Every lap matters. Every mistake matters. Just be handling us around.
I'm like, throw cruising. Oh, what the hell was that?
Right. The craziness of the Glen continues.
Second flag is in the air. Here comes Kyle Larson.
Hell yeah, there we go. Thank you. Well, chickens. What did we just see?
All right. Best hockey name in racing, Kimi Räikkönen. Yeah. It's a good one. Jojo J, Kyle Riker, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Group 1 practice just wrapped up. Group 2 will be hitting the track here shortly. Got a commercial break on True TV at the moment. Fast 5 from Group 1. Justin Haley, Michael McDowell, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, the top 5. Obviously, Haley the best time. Take a look at those lap averages again. See how they shaped up. But Justin Haley looks to have had the fastest 5, 10, and 15 lap average in that session. Only 4 drivers made a consecutive lap run of 15 or more laps in that session. And as far as a consecutive lap run or more in that practice session, at least for Group 1. So we'll see what Group 2 will have. track usually quickens up from Group 1 to Group 2. Very rare occasions where the Group 1 drivers still remain as the top time. And we will be keeping an eye on that, obviously. Go into the chat poll. I mentioned it earlier, didn't take a look at it per se. 39 votes have been casted so far for who you think is most likely to get the poll today. Shane Van Gisbergen having 49 of those 39 votes, 49% of the 39 votes. And Connor Zilic, 13% and 10% for Chase Briscoe, who's got the most polls so far this season, and 28% for somebody other than those three. Now, Briscoe did get 2 front row starting spots, Mexico City and Sonoma, the last 2 traditional road course races. But SVG had the pole for both events. But Van Gisbergen 6th overall in this practice session. We'll see what he can have for a pickup when we get to the qualifying side of things. ASMR, thanks for tuning in. We'll do some trivia in the back portion of this practice session. Wait to see who the top times are going to be first from Group 2. Because then when we get into the later minutes and they only get 1 set of tires per 25-minute group, you're not going to see the lap times really change much after, the first 5, 6, 7 laps. So we'll do some NASCAR trivia, Watkins Glen edition, leading into qualifying, and that will take us to the end of the stream. Again, Xfinity Series race is scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern later this afternoon, and we'll go live with our pre-race coverage for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup race at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on KRC. We'll take our first break while we're awaiting the commercial break to come to an end on True TV.
Here at Watkins Glen, Jeff, top 10. I tell you what, Justin Haley's awfully impressive, isn't he? Not only fastest here, 5, 10, 15 lap averages as well.
Yeah, a lot of speed from Justin Haley. Michael McDowell, teammate, looks really good too. But I want to tell you, Steve, it is tight. When you look at lap times, I wouldn't know who to pick as a favorite right now. Yeah, what I liked about Haley, as much as matched Connor Zilic down there at 7th, but the two of them went out there and ran over 15 laps straight, and there wasn't a lot of movement, right? They fell off a little bit every lap, but not a lot of big mistakes. Any big issues?
That give you an indication of where tire wear might go for tomorrow, Steve.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's more than we've seen here in the past, but I'm not sure if there's enough to be in the back and drive to the front.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Fastest guy here in practice, group number 1, is with Dave Burns.
That is Justin Haley, and he needs a win to make the playoffs. So I was listening to your radio on the way out, and they're like, take it easy on the brakes, warm them up slowly. If you feel anything funky, bring it in. You didn't feel anything funky. That was fast.
Yeah, certainly one of the fastest Chevrolets I've ever been in. So, yeah, we've been working hard this whole 17. Ryan Sparks and myself have been trying to dig deep and find what we've been missing. So,
Is this a sponsor thing? Come on.
yeah, I don't know. Just super thankful that our Game Bridge Chevrolet was fast. The Hendrick engines, obviously, got to thank the whole engine shop at Hendrick for getting us up the S's fast. So, glad to see me and my teammate were only 1,000th off, which means our cars are pretty close. You feel good about yours? Because it didn't look as good as mine felt.
I know it looked pretty good. I mean, the Go Bowling Chevrolet was close. I gave you a tow there so you could put up that.
That was the extra 1,000.
Now we got to reverse that for qualifying, like Formula One style. Get that extra draft. But proud of everybody. Unloaded close. We're in the game. We still got a little bit of work to do, but big weekend and we know it. And excited to try to get us into victory lane.
Where is your game on the road courses? Because I know you can glean from a guy like this who's done it maybe more of his life than you have, but where are you on your game?
Well, I like to have thought I was decent, but we've had a tough go at it this year. So, like I said, just every week, just trying as hard as we can to find the speed. And yeah, like I said, the road courses haven't been good to us, but spent a lot of time in the simulator and just trying to figure out what I need out of this 7 car. And seems like we've hit it so far.
Michael, everyone's looking for data with this tire on this track this year. What did you feel?
The tire is a little bit different, no doubt. It's hard for me to give you good information because coming from the Xfinity car to here, everything feels so different. And the Xfinity car is so foreign to me now. Now getting into the Cup car is like, oh, this is right. Everything does everything right. But the tire feels very different. So, it took us a few laps to really get a feel for what I needed and how it was going to build. 10-lap run isn't quite enough to know directionally, but it'll give us at least an indication.
I'm glad to have Carson in this next one just because the rubber changes. Now we got cup rubber at a disadvantage when it comes to that information. So glad that we got one in Group B.
You guys hear it, the whole team effort, 71-7 in that session, 77 coming up, working together on it.
Yeah, McDowell mentioned it, just 1/1000th of a second separating those two, first and second. Throw Busher in there, 4/1000ths of a second separating the top three. A couple nights ago, look at that, Daniel Suarez. Business on the outside, car show on the inside. Look at the inside of the jacket. Steve's got a jacket like that.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we need a jacket like that. Look, to help us get a jacket like that. Actually, got connections, man. Come on. That's pretty cool. Car show. I like that. Daniel, well, fastest here in Group 1. Michael McDowell, up. Secure the helmet, Steve. Secure the helmet.
Well, that's the driver's job.
Always the driver's fault.
Yeah, you can't just leave your helmet on the top of the car when you jack the right side of it up all the way. Hopefully it didn't crack Michael McDowell's helmet. I would imagine it'll be fine. Probably some scuffs on it, I'm sure. I was also trying to figure out in the midst of the Michael McDowell interview there, whose driver's gear was he wearing? Because it had a Truck Series patch on it and not a NASCAR Cup Series patch. Go Bowling, off the top of my head, I can't think of who would have had the Go Bowling paint scheme yesterday in the Truck Series. I had Gainbridge on there for a sponsor, so I would imagine it might have been another Spire vehicle. I was wondering maybe if it was Kyle Busch's or who else was at Spire yesterday? Andres Perez, but that wouldn't make any sense because I know for a fact he didn't have the Go Bowling paint scheme for yesterday's race. It's definitely not his own fire suit, I can tell you that much. I don't know if I'd want to borrow somebody else's fire suit, but I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. If you need the sponsorship logo for your main sponsor on your gear and you don't have that otherwise, I guess you got to do what you got to do. Hopefully. Didn't look too snug. Got just over 50 people in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in for today's live commentary stream. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Our like goal will be to get to 50 before the end of the stream. We were able to get to that goal yesterday during the truck race, so let's see if we can do that for the second stream in a row to start the weekend. And that chat poll will not close until we get to the end of the first group of qualifying when we get to the knockout style format. I have no idea what spell NASCAR Sporkle. I don't know what quiz we're going to do yet. I didn't pick one out before the stream started. We're not doing it now. I'm just getting a head start. Whoops. Go Watkins Glen. We usually do top 10 finishers a lot. Laps led. Might do that. Change it up a little bit.
Richmond next week. You can catch us at 2 p.m. on USA. Countdown to Green at 1:30. And the CW later today for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Steve, I don't think you could pick 3 different racetracks than Watkins Glen, Richmond, and Daytona to close out the regular season.
I think it's a great variety to figure it out. I love the fact that we end the regular season at Daytona, the same place where we started it. That brings pretty much the entire field to the potential list of could-be winners. And again, it always makes that run into the playoffs even more exciting and interesting to watch.
A driver who needs he doesn't need a win to lock in, but man, those points are getting closer every day. Chris Buescher's
winner here at Watkins Glen. Chris, the car looks pretty fast, one of the fastest Fords on the premises. How do you feel about it so far?
Yeah, Group 1, right? So proud of that effort. Take this Build Submarines Mustang and go qualify good and put ourselves in a better place to start than we did last year, and we'll be dangerous. So pretty happy with how that went. Firewall speed was stronger than last year here, and then just trying to figure out where the long run's going to go. But it's underneath us, pretty solid. I'm pretty happy getting ready to dive in some data here, watch this next practice, see what they got, and be ready to go put that lap down.
You mentioned the data. What type of things are you looking at when you dive in to get yourself better in position to win this race?
A lot of it is balance trend. Where do I feel like we're heading towards some of the others? Where these guys feel like we're heading towards the others, and what we can do to try and make sure that ultimately you don't want to give up anything on the front side, but want to be stronger later into the run. That's where we were really doing strong last year.
Chris Buescher is looking to back it here at Watkins Glen, guys.
Qualified 24th last year, got the win. And see, when you qualify in the back, it's just so much more difficult in regard to you just got to push your car harder. You got to ask more of it. You start up front with a fast race car, and it was definitely an advantage.
Absolutely. That's some of the furthest back we've seen anybody be successful here at the winner. But he's trying to start a little closer. You heard him say first group, so now we're in the second group. I think the first group is for sure a disadvantage. The track normally just gets cleaner, more rubber down, more grip. We'll see if this group has overall more pace. We'll see right away as it comes out of the carousel down to the all-start finish. See the first lap jump on the board.
big week for William Byron last week, finally getting back to victory lane. Of course, won the Daytona 500 to kick off the season. It took until August, Steve, to get back to victory lane, and a lot of fuel saving as well.
A lot of fuel savings, which was very impressive because of the emotional loss they had. They ran out of gas leading, and Michigan ran out of gas running in the top 5 at Indianapolis. So to jump on that strategy again, Rudy Fugle, William Byron got back to victory lane. They were good enough to win the 600 until Chastain took it from him. He was kind of good enough to win at Darlington until their strategy got away. So it really was shocking that it took that long as fast as they have been.
What was interesting about that race, I talked to William after the race, and I said, dude, the slower you went, the faster your times were.
Yeah,
you know, and he's like, Jeff, what does that mean? Like, all I do all week long is figure out how to drive harder, and there I am lifting, running half throttle down the straight and running faster. Like, what does that mean? It actually confused him a little bit, and I've been there. I've been there where I actually was trying to save a little bit of tire and not run hard and run faster. And my team's like, hey, we told you to slow down. And the opposite happened. So it does confuse you just a little bit.
Well, the 24 is looking to have a better weekend than they had here a year ago. We talk about the speedway at road courses. This is a great example. Joe Logano gets into the 6 moves left. The 24 jumps up into the door. I'm going to tell you, I said on the broadcast last year, I was thinking it's a good thing that 3 levers of Onco and not just 2. Yeah, right. Because he would have been into that catch fence. Scary situation where you see that right front wheel kind of gut on the door of the 6.
And yet you would think it's really just up through that narrow section, you know, up through the carousel there. But there are a lot of parts of the track, like this narrow section he's coming into, that's where those things would happen. But we've seen crazy wrecks happen almost everywhere here at Watkins Glen.
Well, we talked about it being a super speedway road courses. So the faster you go, the more places you can end up, right? And you're absolutely flying around this racetrack. So it's easy for a wreck to start here, but you actually don't end up making contact until you get here. It's such a fast racetrack.
My question's been answered about track grip. This group is significantly slower than the first group. We only have none in the top 10, actually. Most of ours the best at 11. And I don't believe that's the cars involved. I think that's just a track condition.
Yeah, qualifying, it'll be opposite.
Yeah, that's why I thought this group was going to run well faster.
You know what I got out of that?
There may or may not have been a bet placed.
And a free dinner, ladies and gentlemen.
Start celebrating.
We're locked in now.
You know, we were talking about how Carson Hocevar was looking at Group 1 saying, hey, my teammates are first and second. I'm excited to get out there. But to your point, just 13th fastest now for Hocevar as he gets passed by Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott in this group.
Yeah,
The group is third.
Yeah, the groups, you almost have to just focus on who's fast in this group against each other, right? You almost have to take the overall speed away and just pay attention to the groups.
Well, the reason they're not separated because in qualifying they won't be.
That's right.
Qualifying groups get put into one bucket. So if you're in the wrong set of this is like a golf tournament, whether you're morning, afternoon, morning, which wave is better, right? Like you absolutely can just be in the wrong wave and it's going to kill your qualifying effort. And that's just how how kind of the dice fall sometimes. So that's why they're grouped all together. But to your point, Jeff, very different track conditions only 15 minutes later.
Yeah, it's been like that forever in this sport, right? There was a day where we would draw as a tournament when you would qualify, and you would just, now it's based off of how you ran last week and your points. So it's a more fair way to do it now, I would say.
Based off merit instead of a beat long ball. I'll tell you what, Alex Bowman has really answered the bell, hasn't he, here late in the regular season, Jeff? 6 top 10s in the last 8 races when they needed points. And remember, when this whole streak started, he was coming off of an injury. And he has really shown up and delivered some impressive results.
I just believe Alex is one of the more underrated drivers in this series. His teammates are some of the very best in the business, and he constantly competes for wins and making the playoffs. And I just think he's undervalued. And I have a lot of appreciation for his intensity. He cares. He wants to do well. He puts 100% effort into it. He's a really good race car driver.
Dave, what you got?
I was watching Blake Harris there in the boxes. He was watching his driver on track. Something Blake told me last week about Alex Bowman is he said, I think sometimes Alex doesn't get a fair rap on how aggressive he can be. He's not aggressive all the time, but in the moments when I've asked him to step up when he has to, he cited Indianapolis recently as an example where Bowman had to at least keep position or gain position. He really, really does it. So, Jeff, to your point, really good driver, and Blake could be more impressed with this guy.
Good pairing, Steve. These guys work together really well.
They do. They're trying to find a little more success, trying to win that race. They got it a year ago at Chicago, but right now they're the one Hendrick car without a guaranteed berth into the playoffs. Still okay on points, but that guaranteed spot is much more comfortable.
John Hunter Nemechek had a nice road course result earlier this year, a 6 at Mexico City. And look how he started off the weekend the right way, hanging out with the fans, signing a few autographs here at Watkins Glen. Group 2 underway here at the Glen.
All right, so we'll see how the combined times are looking here. The fastest so far in Group 2 is Chase Briscoe. He's 9th overall, where the top 8 times were all from Group 1 of practice, as they were kind of stating on the broadcast side of things between Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton. Justin Haley still has the fastest time overall. Then Michael McDowell is currently 2nd, Chris Buescher 3rd, Ty Gibbs 4th, Kyle Larson 5th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 6th. 7th for Connor Zillage, Todd Gillen 8th, Chase Briscoe 9th, William Byron in 10th. Then Ross Chastain 11th, Alex Bowman 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 13th, Ryan Blaney 14th, 15th for Kyle Busch, Carson Hocevar 16th, Chase Elliott 17th, Joey Logano 18th, Josh Berry 19th, and Cole Custer in 20th. 21st, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric 22nd, Christopher Bell 23rd, Eric Jones 24th, Riley Hertz 25th, John Hunter Nemechek 26th, Tyler Reddick 27th, Zane Smith 28th, Ty Dillon 29th, AJ Allmendinger 30th, Noah Gragson 31st, 32nd for Denny Hamlin, Ryan Preece 33rd, Bubba Wallace 34th, Brad Keselowski 35th, Austin Dillon 36th, Cody Ware 37th, Catherine Legg 38th, JJ Ailey 39th, and Josh Bilicki 40th rather. Rounds out the 40-car field for practice. So again, a full field this weekend, and nobody will be going home for qualifying today. All right, so we will go into the NASCAR Sporkle trivia side of things here for the back half of Group 2 practice, and then when we get to qualifying, obviously we will have more coverage on that, but I don't believe we're going to see a lot of change in the lap times on the leaderboard side of things for practice, as we have gotten far enough into it now. So we're going to do all-time laps led at Watkins Glen. This is a 20-minute quiz, it appears, and we need to name anybody who has ever led a lap at the Glen in a NASCAR Cup race. 2017 was the last time that this was updated. So a lot of these quizzes that are similar to this, I've noticed 2017 seems to be the cutoff period as to when they were last updated. So let's see what we can do. Play along in the chat down below. We've got 88 drivers, by the way. I think we could get close to 100. I say that now, but 42 races at Watkins Glen. Mark Martin, former winner here. He's probably led a lot of laps. Kevin Harvick, former winner. Jimmy Johnson. Stewart. Gordon probably has the most. Yep. Chase Elliott. And that'll give us Bill Elliott as well. Martin Truex Jr., former winner. Joey Logano, former winner. Denny Hamlin's a former winner. Carl Edwards has won here before. Juan Pablo Montoya. AJ Allmendinger. Marcus Ambrose. Dale Jarrett. Earnhardt Jr. and Sr., neither one have won here before, but put them on the list. Casey Kane. Only led 3 laps here. Wow. Casey Mears. 8. Now I'm starting to jump all over the board. Let's go Ryan Blaney. Brad Keselowski. Kyle Busch, former winner. And then we'll get Kurt Busch with that as well. Chris Buescher. Not on the list to 2017. Boris Said. Scott Pruitt. Ron Fellows, I see somebody in the chat put that. Ryan Newman. Eric Almirola on the list? No. What about Danica Patrick? Yep. Double digits. Alex Bowman. Nothing. Kyle Larson. Not before 2017, at least. Jamie McMurray. I'll put Jimmy Spencer. He's on here. Kenny Schrader. Tim Richmond. There we go. Nemechek. Joe Nemechek on the list. Put Ricky Craven. John Andretti's probably on here. Andretti. He's not on here? Wow. Okay. John Andretti is not on the list. With the Labonte brothers. They're both on here. Bobby Terry. Reed Sorensen. There we go. Cornish. He's not on here. Rusty Wallace. Ricky Rudd. Jerry Nadeau probably is on here. Yep. Matt Kenseth. Greg Biffle. David Reagan. He's not. Trevor Bain is not. What about Stenhouse? Stenhouse is not. Dylan is not. Might as well throw him out there. It doesn't hurt us to get any wrong. Michael McDowell? Nope. David Rudiman? I do have Stewart. Already got him. AJ Foyt on here at all? Like, I don't think NASCAR was racing at that time when he was running some NASCAR races. Like Dan Gurney, maybe? Yeah. They weren't running here yet. Put Brian Vickers. He's not on the list. Scott Speed? Ooh, there we go. Lake Speed's on here too. How's Strickland? Might as well put it now before we forget. Stacy Compton. Leffler, Yaley, nothing. Allison. They didn't put Waltrip yet. Michael Darrell. Steve Park is on here. Mike Skinner on here at all? Yep. 54 of 88. I did try Almirola. He wasn't on the list. Go Sterling Marlin. David Stremme. He's on the list. Brendan Gaughan. Brendan Gaughan's on the list. Regan Smith's not on the list. Justin Allgaier, no. Yarborough. No. Off the top of my head, I don't know the gap years that they didn't race here. Like Kyle Petty's probably on the list. Harry Gant. Rick Mast. Mast is not. Put Ted Musgrave, Chad Little. Little is not. That's 60 of 88. Morgan Shepherd. I'll put Derek Cope. He's not on here, though. Page, no. Joe Ruttman. Ruttman is not on the list. Alan Kulwicki is going to be on here, I would assume. Yep. Bobby Hamilton. Let's go Jack Sprague. Mike Bliss. Kenny Irwin. Ernie Irvin. Yeah, he's definitely on here. Elliott Sadler. Ooh, he is not on the list. David Gilliland. Not on the list either. Johnny Sauter. Jeff Green. Hornaday. Bodine is definitely on here. We got Jeff and Todd. Well, I do have Tim Richmond already. No, Clements is not going to be on here. Garrett Smithley. Nope. Parker Kligerman? Landon Castle? I do have Ambrose. What was the name of that dude that was in the top 10 at Sonoma when we did that list like a month ago? Back in the 90s, I'd never heard of. Does anybody remember that for anyone that was watching at that time? I do have David Stremme already. My picture's covering up some of those names on the right. My camera. Suarez? Daniel Suarez? '67 of '88. Carpentier is a good one. Ah, there we go. That's a good poll. What about Franchitti then? Might not have spelled that right. I'm going to assume I spelled it right. Scott Riggs. While we're on the 10 car. Oh, dang it. Jeremy Mayfield. 8 minutes, though. 2 minutes left to practice. Oh, yeah, the whole workout difference. Yeah, that's right. I can't think of how to spell his name, though. It's definitely not with the WH, though. Oh, gosh. That's great. Reddick wasn't racing in Cup at this time, so he's definitely not going to be on the list. Johnny Benson, yeah. All right. The horror guy. Oh my gosh. It's too funny. All right. We're missing a couple of them that have led quite a few laps here. It's got to be missing some huge names. I wish I knew the exact years that they were here. Watkins Glen. Let's go. McDuffie? Nope. Yeah. Yeah, Rex White's not gonna be on the list. Rexford. 6 minutes left. We gotta have 70 of 88 names. With still 6 minutes left on the clock. Oh yeah, Paul Menard. I didn't name him yet, did I? Well, it didn't matter because he wasn't on the list either. I was gonna say Robbie Gordon, but he would have popped up here with Jeff Gordon. Yeah, he's already on the list. Practice has just concluded. So we'll end up finishing this quiz out before qualifying begins. I do have Newman. I didn't get the Burtons yet. Jeff Burt. Good thing I looked at the diecast. That was the only one I didn't have yet. I tried Sprague. Jones isn't on here. Robert Presley. Well, we got two more in the last 2 minutes or so. LaJoy. Nothing. Elliott Sadler was not on here. I did try him, though. I'm stumped. Oh my god, no way. Buck Baker. I can't believe I forgot about that. Well, it's tough because I don't know exactly what years that they had that gap period at Watkins Glen. Most of it was in the 70s because we're missing a lot of the bigger names from that time. But Baker was on here. There's two drivers who led quite a few laps. I can't remember how to spell that, like, Hoyer guy's name. He's probably, I'm just going to take it as he's not on here. Tried Little already. Off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't know who would be on here I haven't named. Oh, Wally Dolan back. Yeah, he's got to be on here, right? Yep. Benny Parsons? Oh, Phil Parsons. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I knew Richmond was a former winner here. We already have him. Got about Phil Parsons. 75 of 88. Chat's definitely coming in handy here late. I tried Chuck Bone. He wasn't on the list. 1 minute. Casey Atwood. Not on the list. I did not put his name yet, though. Paul Tracy. No, he's not going to be on here. Oh, man. Ooh, Rob Moroso is a good one. He's not on here, though. That was a good try. Well, we're going to be out of time here in a couple seconds. 75 of 88. got 85%, 67% was the average. Marvin Panch. I went through a few of those names from the 60s, but I obviously didn't hit Marvin Panch up yet. I don't know the gap year of when they weren't going to Watkins Glen. Billy Wade. Daryl Derringer. Neil Bonnet. Scott Wimmer, Dick Trickle. Oh, that Hoer guy was on here. I wasn't spelling his name right. Hoerr. You know, I wondered if he was on the list, and I just couldn't remember how to spell it because I'd only seen his name one other time before, and it was a month ago. Cole Witt, Bobby Helen Jr., Tommy Kendall. Get this, Jorge Gutierrez. I think I've seen him on the all-time wins list, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's got a win. I don't know who Dorsey Schroeder is off the top of my head. I don't know that I've heard that name. Clint Boyer. That's pretty bad. There's definitely some names on here. Didn't circle around to. Cole Witt, man, that would have taken me forever to ever think of him. That wouldn't have been all that long ago. That would have been in the 2010s. Wimmer in the 2000s. Boyer probably in the 2010s. Clint Boyer is probably the one on here that I easily should have gotten. Marvin Panch, I probably should have gotten to. I was around the ballpark of getting names from that era, and for some reason I skipped him. But not bad, collectively. We'll do another quiz in the pre-race tomorrow before the actual NASCAR Cup Series race takes place. For right now, we're still in the break period between practice and qualifying. Thanks for everybody playing along. Irina Sayre, Jordan R., Frank Powers. I don't think I shouted any of you guys out yet. Dennis Gillespie. And many others that were playing along in the chat.
Our touch base it early and growing could help that. First up, qualifying. It's next on True TV.
Well, that didn't take very long for them to go to commercial break. I'll pull up the practice timesheets again. We'll go over that. So overall fastest again was Justin Haley. Michael McDowell second, Chris Buescher third, Ty Gibbs fourth, Kyle Larson was fifth fastest in practice today. Then Shane Van Gisbergen at sixth, Connor Zilisch seventh, Todd Gillen eighth, Chase Briscoe ninth. He was the fastest of the Group 2 drivers. William Byron in Group 2 was 10th overall. Ross Chastain 11th, Alex Bowman 12th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 13th, Ryan Blaney 14th, Kyle Larson 15th, 16th for Carson Hocevar, Chase Elliott 17th, Joey Logano 18th, Josh Berry 19th, Cole Custer 20th, Daniel Suarez 21st, Austin Cindric 22nd, Christopher Bell 23rd, AJ Allmendinger 24th, Eric Jones 25th, Riley Herbst 26th, John Hunter Nemechek 27th, Tyler Reddick 28th, Zane Smith 29th, Ty Dillon 30th, Noah Gragson 31st, Denny Hamlin 32nd, Ryan Preece 33rd, Bubba Wallace 34th, Brad Keselowski 35th, Austin Dillon 36th, Cody Ware 37th, Catherine Lake 38th, JJ Yeley 39th, and Josh. And we'll look at the lap average sheet. Justin Haley had the fastest the fastest 5-lap average, and then in Group 2, William Byron actually had the fastest 10 and 15 lap average in practice, and nobody was able to make a 20-plus lap run with the 25 minutes that they had allotted for their practice time. There were no cautions recorded in both Group 1 and Group 2. So got through unscathed there. All 40 cars should be participating in practice then shortly. Qualifying, shortly. So no qualifying order for this week. Group 1, Group 2 on the racetrack. All the drivers in Group 1 would include JJ Yeley, Connor Zilisch, Catherine Legg, Josh Bilicki, and Ty Dillon, Zane Smith, Cody Ware, Todd Gillen, Riley Herbst, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gragson, Cole Custer, Shane Van Gisbergen, Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell, Justin Haley, Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Busch, and Chris Buescher. So there's some bigger names in here that you can consider chance to go out there and win the race tomorrow. Defending winner of the race, Chris Buescher. Former Watkins Glen winners, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch. SVG, we know, probably the odds-on favorite to win this weekend in this group. So we'll see how they qualify. Group 1 was quicker in practice, so we'll see if that'll be the same for qualifying here shortly. Zachary Powers, welcome to the stream. Dean Tate, welcome in. Dorsey was a sports car IMSA racer. There we go. Dorsey Schroeder. The more you know. Well, I wasn't expecting to get a perfect quiz out of the 88. We've only ever got perfect a couple times this season, so they're pretty hard. As long as we get above average, which I've only not done twice all season. So we've got a pretty good track record. We've done a lot of quizzes. We don't do them during practice and qualifying a lot. But I figured I'd get one in during practice here this week, and obviously we'll have one in our pre-race before the Cup race tomorrow. Any rain delays the rest of the season, bypass time that way as well. The alternate start-finish line is in between the carousel and turn 10. Now, this is a 7-turn road course, but because NASCAR does not use the sports car layout out of the carousel, they actually eliminate 4 corners. So we go from the carousel, which would technically be turn 5, to turn 10, which is, by technicality, the NASCAR circuit turn 6. Turn 7. Now, I never remember them using the correct term of the corner turns 10 and 11 until this weekend. I'm not lying. Every other NASCAR broadcast I've ever watched NASCAR races growing up at Watkins Glen, I've always referred to 6 and 7. Even on the truck race broadcast yesterday, I was referring to it as 6 and 7. But then in some of the driver interviews we were listening to after the race, they were documenting, like Hemrick in his interview was talking about turn 10 and 11. I'm like, 10 and 11? So I looked up the track map just to make sure I knew exactly what he was talking about. I had an idea he was talking about the back corner of the racetrack, because usually the only races I watch at Watkins Glen are NASCAR races. But yeah, I'll try to keep it technical. If you ever hear me refer to turns 10 and 11 the rest of the weekend, Xfinity race, Cup race tomorrow, that would be why. But anyway, the alternate starting line is on that straightaway, middle of it, between turn 5 and turn 10. Justin Besaw, welcome to the stream. So 20 minutes for each of these two groups to hit the racetrack and put down a lap time. Again, they have until the clock hits triple zeros to start their lap, and you can run as many as you want in this session. You only get one set of tires, so you can't change tires in the middle of the session. Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, the first two to set the fast times. Larson was the first driver to complete a lap. Gibbs quickly topped it with a 72.920. Larson 73.491. Zane Smith up to second. So Gibbs first, then Gillen now second. Catherine Legg jumps up to fifth, posting a lap. A lot of drivers are currently on the racetrack. They haven't completed a lap yet. Stenhouse, Cody Ware jumps up to sixth. Cole Custer fourth. St. Smith's running a second lap immediately after his first. Same for Custer. Ty Gibbs is trying to back up his previous best lap. Right now, he is pacing even better on lap 2 compared to lap 1, and lap 1 is still the quick time. We haven't seen Zilich or SVG hit the track yet. Kyle Busch, Chris Buescher, all threats for a top 10 qualifying effort. Michael McDowell, another one. We have not seen those guys hit the track. Justin Haley, who was fastest in practice overall, still has not made a lap. Only 10 of the 20 in Group 1 have made a lap in these first 4.5 minutes. Gibbs tops his original best time with a 72.304. He was about 0.6 quicker on his second lap. And I would assume he'll pull into the pit area, cool the car down, and go back out and try to put another heater later in the session. Connor Zilich is now on the racetrack. 15.5 minutes left.
Bill behind Gibbs, ran his fastest on his second lap as well.
That's this Zilich's first lap.
See the two Spire cars? They just pulled off pit road, staying out of these guys' way. But they went out together, Steve. Here they are. A little strategy.
Yeah, I think Haley's going to chase McDowell around here.
McDowell said he wanted to chase Haley, remember? Yeah, right, because He gave him the push for the 1/1000th and the quickest in practice. Boy, Zilich has really fallen off second half of this lap now. Down 4/10 to Ty Gibbs.
So, Steve, if you're the crew chief for Zilich, are you keeping him on track here?
Oh, I absolutely gonna have him run another lap. From what I saw out of Gibbs, I mean, he picked up 6/10 of a second. So tires aren't losing grip. That's not possible if tires are losing grip. So unless the car is doing something that Zilich doesn't like, which it looks like he's off the gas anyway.
So that this was pre-planned. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to run one lap, and then if we have to make another run, we'll go back out.
I could almost go out and run a lap about half speed. I think there's something to do with the temperature of the tires.
And you wonder if that's what Larson did, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe his 1:13.5 is really just a warm-up lap. These two don't feel like they're on a warm-up lap.
They do not. Both in the green, these Fire cars. Now with McDowell in front this time and Haley behind.
It's interesting. We talk about aero and how hard it is to pass. Well, if aero was really a deficiency, you would think this would hurt the 7 in the braking zones. You think he'd be aero deficient and it wouldn't be able to stop as well. But these guys know what they're talking about. They've went out here like this on a plan, like right here. If aero was such a wash, and it is hurting the 7 up the S, the 7 is backing off versus 71 for sure.
He had trouble with the entrance of the S's.
Yeah.
Haley had a big wobble getting into the S's. That killed his speed up them.
McDowell flirting with the green. Can he keep it there?
Running higher, and he is going to lose some time. To Gibbs, I was going to make it back no matter what. No matter what. There you go. No matter what. McDowell just off from Gibbs, 0.03 of a second off.
Let's hear if they tell him where he is.
Well, he should have his time on the dash. Now, I don't know if he can compute on what's good or what's bad, but look at the lap so far. 2/10 up and running.
There's no way I can remember what time the kids ran, right?
Yeah.
I'd have to have some coaching. Oh, Haley deep in the corner. Back in the car, moving around. This is where Haley had problems. Right on entry, right here is where he had issues the last lap.
Much
That looked
tighter.
better.
Much tighter.
And McDowell very tidy through the first half of this lap.
This is an interesting stretch.
Wow, Bush on a good lap as well.
This is where so much can be gained or lost right here into the bus stops.
Haley's made up a lot of time on the second half of this lap, Steve.
Yes, he's done a nice job. He's giving it back into the carousel, though, in a big chunk. Although McDowell is going to set a new fast time by a good margin. It's going to be much faster than what we had here a year ago.
Holy smokes. Wow. Nothing left. McDowell to the top with a 1:12.18. What's Kyle Busch got? Three-tenths off for Kyle Busch. He winds up going third. Now Shane Van Gisbergen and Jeff.
This one's a surpriser to me a little bit. You know, he's on his second lap, currently over 0.3 of a second off McDowell, and it's going the wrong way. P5. Still going though.
Yeah, he's got to keep going.
I don't think anybody would have bet this coming into the day, Steve, as Van Gisbergen goes down to 6 now with Daniel Suarez up to 4.
Well, he's not done. Look at the time he gave getting into turn 1. Look at that. 0.2 of a second on corner entry.
I just wonder how he is up to S's. This is more standard stock car speed right here. This is like what I think an oval track guy would be so good at, which is carrying momentum. I know it's a switchback, but it's very general. Now, I think this should be his strength, the bus stop. When you think of road course races like Ambrose, this is where he stood out here at Watkins Glen.
He picked up. To your point, Steve.
And now this should be his most challenging corner. Long, sweeping,
Gaining time, though.
losing time.
Now losing time.
Yeah.
Now gaining time. He's going to still be P1 right here.
Nice lap. Took 3 laps to get it done, but SVG goes to the top.
So it's interesting because he came out and ran a 119, which is 8 seconds off. That's by design. The guy's on 8 seconds off, you know. So he built it. Seems to me that this group believes the tires can be better, but you have to match the amount of laps with the tire pressure you start with. There has to be a plan. Everybody has to be on the same plan. Driver, engineers, crew chief.
Well, I think about Larson down at 15th fastest. He ran that one lap, ran a 13.4. You know, it's a half a second off. I'm sorry, it's 2.5 seconds off of what SVG just ran. So if you're a Kyle Larson fan, he's only got one lap. He can go out and improve it by a great deal.
Dave, how about Connor Zilic?
Yeah, can he match that lap? He is going to go out again, and when he was on his cool down lap after just one, this was his radio to the team.
C3 there, 72.89, 30. Oh, it's 309. Furious. Why don't you tell me to run a second?
Oh, Connor wished he'd run a second there, but Darian Grubb probably has a plan. And if the driver and the crew chief are on the same page, they'll make it work. They did adjust the tire pressures for this run. You can see he's got the 87 fired up, and we'll see what Connor Zilic can do. Keith Eads there making the change to the tires before he heads back out.
I think I agree with the driver that maybe a second lap. Now, I believe Darian Grubb must have felt that they could come in, cool down, and go back out. Because remember, 87, 88 are teammates. They're Darian right there. I mean, he knows what he's doing. So much experience on top of the pit box. So it's funny, right? Because SVG went out, and it seemed like they had a clear plan of throwing away a lap. And Zilic went out of the same cam, and they had a clear plan of going as fast as they could. So two very different plans out of the same organization.
Well, that's to your point. Yeah, you got to stick to your plan, and I'm sure that's what Darian's chatting about right now. And you got to wonder the plan for, you know, Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson sitting back there in 15 with just under 8 minutes to go. We'll see what Connor Zilic can do, and when Kyle Larson comes back out on the track, Mamba.
I got Chase Briscoe here. Chase, they're talking about the plan. It seems like the plan for the 88 goes 70% and then go lay down a heater. Is that going to be your plan as well?
I don't know. I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna do the 70% thing. He's done that everywhere though. It's obviously there's something to it, but yeah, I think for us, we're just gonna go out there and try to run 2 laps, see kind of where they end up. So yeah, I thought our Bass Pro Shop sort was pretty good in practice. You know, could have had a little bit of things that it could have done a little bit better, but definitely felt like if I do my job here, we're at least be in contention. So yeah, I don't know. It's always a game though, qualifying. You know, you never know if you want to run 1 or 2, and you know if the tires are gonna come in or whatnot. So yeah, hopefully, you know, we do everything right on our end and see where it ends up.
Steve, how do you decide what plan to go with when there's so many different strategies going on the track?
You know, Mom, I think that this is going to sound really silly, but the key is to just have a plan. I don't know if they're the guarantee. I think you look at the other tracks where you ran this tire, which was Coda, Mexico City, Sonoma. You look at what worked. You heard Briscoe. He knew what SVG did at every race. He's been studying the data. So I think you look at that, you understand your driver. SVG probably says, hey, I'd like to have 1 more lap, and I want to fire off. If Briscoe, look, he's Mr. Pole this year. He's done it more than anyone. I know if he says, hey, man, I'm just going to go run 200 laps and see where it falls, I'm okay with that.
Chris Buescher, see, he's only just over a tenth on the SVG. This is his first lap on the racetrack. They had sat in the pits and waited and watched. So now you have to assume he's going to run 2 laps right here.
Absolutely.
A limited amount of time left in practice. When he left pit road, in his brain, he would love to lay it down on the first lap. But you have to know that you can run 2 and make the second lap the best.
I was going to say, then there's this plan. Let everybody run. Let the track get a little bit better.
I'm not a big
Just wait
fan
to
of
see what happens. You don't like it, Steve. Why?
No, because one missed wheel and you don't have enough time to recover.
Well, we've also seen trouble on track.
Yeah, I mean, if right now the 87's out there. If the 87 spins out, you don't get another lap. Like, I just feel like it's big enough for half the field. I think you're okay to go out relatively early.
You guarantee a clean racetrack. However, you put yourself in danger for that, and you're putting an awful lot of trust in your driver's team.
Yeah, and that, you know, the way I'm looking at it, neither of these cars are matching SVG at the moment, although here's Buescher making great time up the S's.
Lap 2. Man, so close to that Armco barrier, Jeff.
Spoke to SVG this morning, and he said that is where Chris Buescher was better than he was last year in the races up through the S's. He was better than him today as well.
Right here is where he lost so much time last lap. better. No, you just listen to him. It's just too much hard throttle, I thought, through the middle. I mean, that's better than the last time he went through there.
Well, SVG was a tenth and a half of a second faster through that bus stop than the entire field. So you saw it right there with Chris Buescher.
Seemed like he was shutting it down. Are you surprised they wouldn't go for a third lap, Steve? I mean, why not? I mean, SVG did it in 3 laps.
Yeah, but he threw away his first. I think the 17th feels he got a good lap, and you just got to see where it stacks up.
Zillish went 8th fastest.
But I think when you go out on brand new tires, you need to run a couple or 3 laps the first time and see what's going to happen. That's why I'm very interested to see what Larson does. Now, he'll prove us all wrong and go run the fastest thing out here.
Cole Custer had a nice finish in Mexico City, finished 8th there. That's his only top 10 of the year, but young man knows how to road course race, and here's the answer. Cliff Daniels finally sends Kyle Larson out with just over 4 minutes left.
You know, 1 lap times currently pretty far down the list. Looking to improve. He's all the way down at 16th. So now he's just taken the green flag right here.
As a driver, I liked being able to run 2 laps. It made me a little more relaxed, unless my first lap was no good. And this lap, the intensity is back on, just like it's a single lap qualifying, because if I don't get it done now, it's over.
This car just doesn't have pace. The way you want to talk about it. It's 4/10 off, half a second off going into the turn 1.
Yeah, Larson said he felt good about their long run race pace. He felt like Byron was a little bit better than them. They felt like they were in the game, but man, I'm shocked to see them 4/10 off, Steve, here. 16th.
Yeah. Because remember, we're comparing him to SVG, the current fastest car, and I thought he had a really amazing bus stop to carousel. So I'm not saying Larson can't improve, but I expect him to lose 4 time right here.
And you serve forever. Again, about lap and a half. He's going to be consistent.
He's going to be a second off.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have to run another lap just because there's not enough time to come in, and he's getting so far down the grid that there's no harm in giving it a shot. That's going to make him an improvement up to 9th, but remember, that's only half the field. So you're going to start probably outside the top 20 right here unless he can improve. And the track is busy. Basically, I won't say every car, but the majority of cars out here running. Suarez, a quiet day for Daniel.
But solid qualifying effort so far. 6th quickest as we approach the 2-minute mark left here for Group 1 in qualifying from the Glen. See bottom left of your screen, Kyle Larson much better on this second lap. We'll see if he can maintain that speed all the way through. This has been the tough part for them, Jeff, both times. Bus stop.
It's a little confusing, man, because really the changes to the racetrack last year has kind of made this a little bit of a straighter shot through the bus stop. Curbs are much lower than they used to be. You would think it would be hard to get beaten by almost 0.2 of a second in that one section racetrack.
Very slight improvement for Kyle Larson that will not move him up the board, though. And then you heard Cliff Daniels say, run another one if you want, because Steve, they've only got 1:15 left. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this set of tires doesn't expect to be used in the race anyway. The Spire group is back on the racetrack.
Silas McDowell would have demanded to be the second car. I think it's hurting.
Yeah, I do too. So I think it's hurting the 7th. I think there's an arrow wash behind McDowell.
Well, McDowell told us in the interview with Dave, he said, hey, we're going to flip it. I was the car behind in practice, and I want to be the car in front.
Well, they're on their flyer now. We'll see.
It's a great shot. This helmet cam shows the amount of work that goes into driving one of these race cars, just pushing it to the very edge.
Haley pulls off, McDowell stays on the tracks. Got under 2/10 there.
Well, it's just worth reminding that even if McDowell can't eclipse SVG, if he improves his time, these groups are not separated on scoring. So he is still qualifying against the second group who hasn't even run yet. little bit of a lift on the top of the hill. Yeah, we don't see that much.
And that's going to hurt him down the straight. That happened at the start of the S's. He had to lift at the top of him, but at the start, he just wasn't lined up exactly right. Had to slow the car down to complete the corners.
Look how much time is lost. Yeah, bus stop.
That's one of those fast feeling corners in all the racing right there. He's coming down that hill, the guardrails on the right, knowing you're going to have to get right against it. It's intimidating.
Was making a heck of a lap with the 8 Kyle Busch. Because he's out of the carousel at speed, less than 2/10 off. This is going to be a last minute jump up the leaderboard.
Wow. Kyle Busch, second.
Of Kyle Busch. Wow. You want to talk about a off the radar winner. If Kyle Busch on his 5th lap goes to second, if he wins on Sunday.
Oh boy, playoff picture gets turned upside down.
Absolutely.
And on lap 5 for Kyle Larson to be able to pull off that second place run. Kyle Larson, though, just 9 quickest here in Group 1. Group 2 coming up. Man, hang on to it, Kyle.
So Shane Van Gisbergen, no surprise that he is position number 1 at the end of this first group of qualifying. Kyle Busch second, a little bit over a 10.5 off of SVG's time. 71.993 will be the time to beat for the Group 2 drivers. SVG completed 3 laps in that session. Kyle Busch, who completed 5 laps on his final one, was able to jump up to second. Michael McDowell ended up running 5 laps. His second was his best, which would have been the first stint that he was out on the track for. He is third. Chris Buescher 4th. Ty Gibbs rounds out the top 5 in 5th. 6th place, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley 7th, Connor Zilic 8th, Todd Gilliland 9th, Kyle Larson 10th, then Riley Herbst 11th, Cole Custer 12th, Ty Dillon 13th, Zane Smith 14th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 15th, 16th, Bernoa Gregson, Cody Ware 17th, Catherine Lake 18th, JJ Yaley 19th, and Josh Balicki 20th. So that will round out the first group of qualifying, and the Group 2 times will intertwine with these. Hopefully it shows that on our screen. If I remember correctly, I don't believe that the lap times will intertwine on our leaderboard like they do for those of you watching visually on True TV, so I'll keep you updated throughout the next 20-minute session. We'll take a quick break here while we await the next session to begin. You're listening live on KRC to NASCAR Cup Series qualifying at Watkins Glen. Spire Sabotage Haley, yeah, running in line behind. Another driver definitely wasn't the way to go there. We've seen that on other road courses this season, and it allows for the driver to pick up time. Like I've seen 2311 do that numerous times before with Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, because Reddick usually pretty quick, especially at the next-gen cars on these road courses, so Wallace will follow him, try to get a lap, but because of how fast Watkins Glen is specifically compared to other road courses on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, like Steve Letarte was mentioning that there's maybe a little bit more of an aero deficiency to running in line behind somebody, say, going through the S's versus some of the other corners on the track. And when it comes down to qualifying, you need one fast lap to be the top time. You're not going to be able to run as quick as the driver in front of you. As Michael McDowell again was third and Haley 7th from that group as they were running nose to tail. So really the only sets of cars that were trying that. Although that was the case in practice, and Haley was 1,000th of a second quicker than Michael McDowell, so it is kind of strange that that theory worked once, but then the second time it didn't. It could have been something as simple as Haley maybe just overdriving the car, causing the issue. But they had a 1/1000th of a second split amongst one another, with Haley being the best in practice. They were first and second there. They tried to stick with that same strategy again. Didn't work out for them. NASCAR still got some safety equipment out on the racetrack. They'll be pulling in here shortly. So again, the time to beat is a 71.993, 122.512 mile per hour average. That is the fastest lap we've seen today, practice or qualifying. Dave Burns is standing with Kyle Busch, who is currently in second.
Yes. Just a little bit everywhere, I think. Like the first lap on the second run was just a little bit tight everywhere, but I was like, that's not bad. That should be a little bit the same. And it was 2/10 slower, and I was like, well, all right, let's just run another one, see what happens. It can't hurt you to go a little slower, but actually went faster. So I'm glad I ran it out. I didn't expect it to pick up pace. Just felt like little things, tiny little bits here and there around the racetrack. I mean, the field is so tight. I mean, we're looking for 2/10 over 2.5 miles, So great job by everyone on this Zone Chevrolet, though. Thanks to RCR and ECR. Motor pool's real nice. So that's not a problem this week, which rarely is, but feels good to have a good solid effort like that right now and to be second amongst those that are up there and give ourselves a good starting spot. We'll see what happens with this second group and where we line up, but feels good there.
Got one more for you, but I want the goalie to focus in right here because I just noticed this for the first time. His NASCAR decal on his uniform here, two-time champ. I'm thinking, Kyle, the next few weeks here is going to take championship-like attitude and effort from you and from the team to make this happen for you this year.
I mean, it takes a team, right? You win with people, so you got to have everybody pulling the rope in the same direction. And so Randall's, great crew chief, and we've won races together before, and we just got to continue to execute better and get ourselves all better, me included. It takes all of us, So first step of that is here this weekend. So real good car off the truck. We made some changes to it. I wasn't really pleased with many of the changes, so we just went back on all that and qualified it, and here we are. So. Just getting more laps, more reps on the track there. Got us a little bit faster and more where we like it.
Nice pickup. Go get him. Mama Smith.
Ty Gibbs, you had a good qualifying effort so far. You got fast in practice. What is the car doing for you? What do you need a little bit more for tomorrow?
Yeah, we have I think a pretty good Monster Energy Toyota Camry. We should make some adjustments and get a little better. And I think I can get a little bit better as well. So we'll go from there. I have a great team around me, and we'll just go hammer down tomorrow.
Ty Gibbs looking to hammer down tomorrow, guys.
Jeff Burton, the fans have heard. They're inviting you out to the bus stop.
Oh, wait.
They made that sign just in the last little bit. They got some prime rib for you, Filet mignon, you're in, Jeff. Come on.
What's in the cooler?
And you get a message to them. What's in the cooler?
Well, if it gets rid of that Steelers cheer, we'll
Got you guys dialed in. See, look at that. You got to go do your civic duty, get a prime rib.
Listen,
a little filet mignon.
You keep selling it like I'm not going. I'm sold. I'm sold already.
This is one of the best fan events of the year. I mean, it is always a packed camping scene here at Watkins Glen.
It's going to be interesting. You heard Kyle Busch talk about seeing the second group. I was totally wrong. I thought the group would be way faster in practice. They weren't. I assumed they're going to be faster in qualifying, so I might as well go 0 for 2. We'll just see. I will say, though, after watching that and Kyle Busch running the second fastest lap on lap 5, zero chance I'm not going out here and running 2-time laps the first time on the racetrack. I don't know why I wouldn't.
The other thing, Jeff, I love that Kyle told Dave is that it was tiny little things I put together over a lap. When you're behind the wheel, is that what it is at a road course? Just stacking little pieces throughout the lap to get an overall better lap time.
Typically, unless you made a mistake at some point, typically it is stacking little things on top of each other. See William Byron right here, almost a half second slower than Alex Bowman behind him, and Hamlin doing a little agriculture back there. A little gardening here at the Glen. So I wonder with this 24 car if they didn't kind of throw that first lap away to be, 1.2 seconds slower. Was that a full effort, or is he just running his tires in here?
Yeah, what happened to Denny Hamlin, Jeff?
Just using all of it and got a little bit on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
Hit the wrong side of the curve and then just threw the car up in the air.
In a perfect world, you kind of jump that dirt pit with the right thumb, and he's fell down in and caught it. To your point about the 24, some of that can be air pressure as well, Jeff. Like, you don't have to throw it away. If I start a little lower, you can drive that thing as hard as you want. It's only going to go so fast until air pressure comes up.
And unlike his teammate, Jeff, William Byron did not come to pit road. Kyle Larson did in Group 1. William staying on the track, so trying to stack a couple laps together, and he's in the game here with SVG.
Yeah, this is definitely a better lap, and Alex Bowman behind him also on a better lap. And you know that guy chasing the rabbit, and you see, and he's not leaving you, catching him, that's extra motivation. I'm having a good lap.
From what I've seen, you better have a big advantage getting to the bus stop, because that is SVG's signature moment of his lap, just comparing to everybody's lap time.
So, Steve, do you tell your driver that? Do you say, hey, we're looking at data, we can see the bus stop is where you're losing your time. Try to find more in there.
Well, so we had that example because when Marcus Ambrose was here, it was the same way. And I'll be honest, we didn't have all the same data. But I think you're asking, like, these guys know what they're doing. I don't think it's necessary to tell them, what he's doing. Maybe to say, hey, we're getting beat mostly through the bus stop. Can I help you? Is the car doing what you want?
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like a controlled explosion, to be quite honest. I'm not sure there's a whole lot you could do through there. You can handle poorly, but if the car is reasonably balanced, it's just an experience. And
So far from Group 2, Alex Bowman the quickest. He's in 4th, Wayne Meyer 5th, and Christopher Bell 6th. Nice little practice session for Josh Berry. We'll see what he can back up here in qualifying. Behind him on the track is Carson Hocevar. Had a terrific run here at Watkins Glen last year.
5 was second lap.
Whoa!
Wow. That's one way to do it.
And now you just quit. All right. Now, like, okay, I'm done. Do another. Well, yeah, this right here is just trying to get more just in the gas and thing almost comes around on him. And at that point, Steve, even if the crew chief is saying, hey, go get me more, I think the driver just calls it off, right?
that's right. Because I didn't see that, right? Like, I'm on pit road.
It's one of those where he wrecked, he just didn't hit anything. See if that hurt his tires here as Hocevar tries to make another lap, as you mentioned, Jeff, 5th quick.
Yeah, this one's way off. I think he's just cruising around. I think the 45 Brennick, the 23 of Wallace, they're nose to tail on the racetrack. There you go.
They do this all the time on the list.
They do. And it's always this order.
Yeah, exactly. That's been a request from Bubba for a long time because Reddick obviously so good at the road courses, multiple time winner at many different road courses. And Bubba will admit, I've had to learn. He's gotten better, Jeff, at road courses. But following your teammate, who you know is so good, can certainly be a help.
Actually going to run a little bit faster than Reddick on this first lap. Wallace 10th, Reddick 13th.
I think that was their second lap.
Logano with a good lap. 8th. He's done. That was one lap.
Going to bring in plenty of time to cool it down and make another run. Well, I tell you what, Ryan Freese flashing through the screen there. He's been so good at road courses this year. Just doesn't seem to have the speed. Today, though, Steven gets in the wall a little bit there.
Trying to find the speed.
Yeah.
I see it every week with this team. They get better as the race goes on. I don't worry so much about where they qualify. They consistently, they could be running 25th, and next thing you do, you look up and he's running 5th or 6th at the end of it. I don't see why this weekend would be any different.
Only 2/10 off before that wall contact. Qualified in the front row at Mexico City. Here's Blaney right here, only 2/10 off. Down in turn 1, just getting his lap underway.
Chase Briscoe waiting for a gap in the traffic. Fired off right behind Ryan Blaney. Blaney's got it under a 10th here. See what he can do in the back half of the lap.
It's all available right here. To beat him, you have to beat him through the bus stop. Speaking of SVG, let's see what Blaney does. Gives a little off on entry, which I think I like if he can get it back on exit with a tiny exit into the carousel. I mean, a solid 3/10 through the bus stop. That's what SVG has basically as an advantage.
That's what you had, tonight, this afternoon, and everybody's going to be pouring over that data, trying to understand where is that speed? How is he able to beat me through that far of the racetrack?
And for the record, SVG was 8/10 quicker than he was in practice on his qualifying lap just a moment ago.
Oh, Cindric pushing his car to the limit. We heard him earlier say that, this has been the weak part of their road courses this year. It's just getting qualified.
Blaney in the green. This is not the trouble part, though, Steve. The trouble part's second half of the lap.
Yeah, well, looking at sector times, SVG has been over a 10th faster than everyone through the bus stop. Good news for Blaney. He has over a 10th to give up. So if he can just stay within a tenth of SVG right here. He should come out okay. Let's see if he can somehow keep it.
Go for it, man.
Oh, he's close. He's close. Can he wrap the carousel? This is where he just needs his car to do what it should do. He's going to have momentum.
Come on,
this, and I think
Blaney.
He has a chance.
He's got it.
Boy, what an upset this would be. Could Ryan
Blaney to the top spot. That was me being very, very biased there. Ryan Blaney has just beaten Shane Van Gisbergen. Take that, SVG. Ryan Blaney on pole as of now. We still got 10 minutes to go. But he has beaten the unbeatable. It's one thing to do that one lap. It's another thing to do that for 90. But Ryan Blaney, top of the speed charts. 71.96 to SVG 71.993. Ross Chastain just jumped up to third. A little bit behind SVG with a 72.081. That bumps Kyle Busch down to fourth, and Michael McDowell rounds out the top five and fifth. Way too biased. Yeah, that was very biased. I'm a Ryan Blaney fan. It's all right. I'm usually unbiased, obviously, when it comes to the live commentary stuff. When we get to the race side of things, we'll have full professionalism. Jay Mason Gaming, thanks for tuning in. Lynn Crosby, Earl Arnold Jr., Chase Briscoe, who would be competent to try to go for the pole. He's got many of them already this season. Just jumped up to third with a 71.997. It's only 4 1,000ths of a second off of SVG's time. Briscoe is currently running a second lap right now. So again, tracking to Ryan Blaney. He is pretty close on lap number 2 as he looks for a pickup. It's going to be interesting to see if Briscoe's going to top Blaney's time. He's lost quite a bit coming out of the S's. I don't see him gaining nearly 0.2 of a second in the bus stop. He got about a tenth back. But he's still tracking in the red through the carousel in turn 5. He got close. He might get the second. Let's see what that second lap was. Second lap was a 72.001. So he's about 4 1,000ths of a second off his first lap. So a slight decrease from one lap to the next for Briscoe. Still 8 minutes left. There's a chance he comes into the pits and then goes back out for one more lap there at the end, as we'll see with many other drivers. Right now, we'll go through the leaderboard, and then any other updates, we will go through it again when time expires. Ryan Blaney is currently fastest from this group. Shane Van Gisbergen is in second, then Chase Briscoe third, Ross Chastain fourth, Kyle Busch fifth, Michael McDowell 6th, Alex Bowman 7th, Carson Hocevar 8th, William Byron 9th, and Christopher Bell rounds out the top 10. And again, I don't have the full leaderboard for you. They have them separated on our raw feed between Group 1 and Group 2. To do the math and intertwine those live on hand without looking at the leaderboard that True TV gives me, on the visual side of things, it'd be too much time wasted. But that is the top 10. 7 minutes still to go. And as long as you get to the alternate timing and scoring line, which is between turn 5 and NASCAR 6, then you could start your lap. It will count. But if you get to the line after 000s, that lap will be disallowed. Kyle Reichert, thank you for the $5 super chat. Always appreciate the fan in you showing. Yeah, I don't usually cheer for that. It's just, Shane Van Gisbergen is just so unbeatable on the road courses. And the fact that it was my guy that ended up beating him, I had to celebrate it, I guess. But it wasn't by much. That is for sure. Just over 0.03 of a second right now, the current difference between Ryan Blaney and SVG on the top spot. But like I said already, qualifying is one thing. It's one thing to beat him for 1 lap. It's another thing to beat him for 90 laps, which will be our scheduled distance for tomorrow's race. Get to see SVG in the Xfinity race go head-to-head with Connor Zilic. Round 3, they're head-to-head 1-1 right now this season, with a win for SVG at the Chicago Street Race. Connor Zilic getting a win at Sonoma. And now it's time for the rubber match at Watkins Glen later today. 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. We'll also be live for the NASCAR Cup race tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, live right here on KRC. 82 laps are scheduled distance for today's Xfinity race. John Hunter Nemechek on track, 32nd on his first lap. Qualified 35th here last season, but ended up having a top 20 finish. So we'll see what he can do for his second lap of qualifying. So far, a lot better than the first. Within a couple of tenths of Ryan Blaney, he could have a massive pickup. Jojo, thanks for tuning in. Kenneth Preston, welcome to the stream. H. Holly D, welcome to the stream. It's kind of hard not to like Blaney. Yeah, he's just a likable guy, you know. And Blaney is going back out for more. Chase Briscoe is still on the racetrack. I don't think he's ever left. He's over a second slower on the lap he is currently running right now. I think the best is behind him. I'm sure we'll see a lot of drivers on track. Dave Burns is caught up with SVG.
Man, it's close. Amazing how close it all is for a road course. Really good. My laps are okay, but probably some things I could have fixed. So, but yeah, decent start point for tomorrow. I was going to say, reminder, tomorrow is what pace? How was it in race practice? Well, today pace too. I got to go get ready for the Xfinity race now, but it was good. Practice was good. Very loose in the rear, so I think we made it better for qualifying, but definitely need to tune it up for the race, but pretty happy with it. Understatement of the year. Don't count them out for tomorrow, guys.
I think I've seen this movie before, Steve, where they made a bunch of changes race day morning, and SVG would go wear them out once the race started. So we mentioned how the track was pretty clean. Not anymore. It's a busy racetrack, Jeff. There are a ton of cars out there right now.
Everybody trying to just maximize their pace. Again, that the lap that Kyle Busch put down there has got everybody believing they can run faster. Here's Briscoe trying to get that speed. It looks very similar to Carson Hocevar. Remember, Carson did the same thing. Tried to throttle up. He pulls throttle there. A little sketchy.
Wow. Squealing all the way into the final corner there. William Byron kind of thought might have a shot at the pole. Just nice quickest so far.
SVG conversation with Dave was really interesting. Kind of upset with himself, feeling like the driver could have been better. But I think the strength that he has, 24 loose on corner entry, is he's able to operate at qualifying pace for the entire race. And I think that's why he's so good in the race. To go do it for 1 or 2 laps is a very difficult thing to do, but to do it for the entire day, that's what I think that he's so good and why he's won so many races. It's just he can be at 99% for a longer period of time and not get himself in trouble.
Nobody really making any big jumps up the leaderboard. I thought Byron would, but to be honest, even SVG said it. Blaney is a 1:11.9. It gets complicated with all the numbers, but think about this: 11.9. Kent is a 12.2. So 2.5 tenths from first to 10th on a racetrack with this many places to lose time. So even a 1/10 pickup by someone will move them up the leaderboard a few rows probably. Pagano there, he might improve a little bit, 0.3 of a second. No, I think this is going to just be kind of a match of the lap time he's already run.
Joey Logano stays 11th fastest after that lap.
Blaney went out and ran and could improve. And I thought he had the best chance with tire life.
Can Chase Elliott jump up? Just 20th quick so far.
And I think that's the key. You know, we're going to try to celebrate who's the fastest here. And I think Blaney looks really good for that. But like if you have Denny Hamlin who's 22nd, right? If you can just pick up 1/10, moves Denny Hamlin up 8 spots, right? 1/10 of a second is 8 spots for Denny Hamlin. That needs to be your motivation, right? You need to go out there and try to run within 3.5 tenths of Blaney, and you'll move up a bunch.
Yeah, he's looking really good right now too.
Right here, the bus stop. If he could do that effectively, he had a chance, but not bad through there, Steve.
No, I like he kind of avoided the mistake he made last time. Carlos very tight in the middle of the carousel, does not want to change directions. And you can only drive the tight race car so fast. He's not going to pick up.
Kind of surprised by the Hendrick camp a little bit. You know, you've got, as you're right on board with Christopher Bell, but for the Hendrick camp, you've got Holman in 7th, you got Byron in 9th, but then you go all the way down 20th for Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson in 27th. Don't think I saw that coming into the day.
No, it's going to be a busy start to the race for Larson. Remember last year, I know it was a playoff race, but a wreck early took out Blaney, took out Hamlin, took out some big players.
If that sticks, that would be Kyle Larson's worst qualifying effort in his career.
Wow.
Crazy to think that. Christopher Bell trying to find some time. Had it under 2/10 from Ryan Blaney, but
All right, session's over.
lost
Back
it
to
there.
pit road.
And Tab Boyd telling him the session's over. Austin Dillon can still complete a lap. See if he can gain a little bit from 26. Yeah. What a great run for that team last week at Iowa. You got to think they're looking forward to Richmond next week. The race he won last year. And before all the controversy, he was going to win it on speed. I think that's important to note, but had a great run last week.
Yeah, what gets overlooked at last year Richmond was he kind of botched the final restart. If he wouldn't have done that, he wouldn't have had to push and shove on those things because he had the car to beat. He drove such an amazing race. One little mistake on the restart is kind of what got him, and that lift right there will give it. It's officially the man in the upper left. Ryan Blaney, congratulations. What a lap.
How about that run for Ryan Blaney?
Flying Ryan.
Upsets SVG for the pole position here at Watkins Glen, Mama Smith.
It's the power of the mullet.
Ryan Blaney, guys, as he is congratulating the Dirty Dozen crew over here. Ryan, I talked to you earlier this week. You said I wasn't going to be able to talk to you all week because you didn't think you were going to be that fast. I guess the 150th pole for Team Penske here. Congratulations.
Wow, 150 pole. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm happy I'm talking to you. I guess I got to say that more often. But man, what a cool pole. I wouldn't say I'm pretty average road racer, honestly, and I work really hard to try to get better at it and try to figure out ways to be better. And so really proud of the whole 12 group. Like you said, the Dirty Dozen. A fun day, just getting better, and hopefully we got to find a little bit of race pace tomorrow, I thought, but it's nice to have one lap speed in. So I appreciate Menards and Richmond and Ford Performance for what they do, and it's pretty cool, man. It's fun when you can sit on the pole at a place where like not very good, and I try to like work really hard to get better. So it's huge congrats, like I said, to these guys. They stuck with me, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Scotty Mack, your Team Penske teammate, is going to have to pick between you and SVG now that you knocked SVG off the top. What's that like? You know how good Shane is at these places, and to be tit for tat for them here at Washington.
Yeah, I mean, it take little wins when you can get them. Bubba came up to me and said, well, that was a bad idea because now he's really going to wax you tomorrow. Hey, beat him once this weekend. So you got to start somewhere, but it's just nice to start towards the front. You know, last year at this race, we had a rough weekend and qualified the bag, got in the wreck on lap 1 and the turnaround, and have a much better start to the weekend at least. Just hope to keep it up. But yeah, hopefully people ask me like, what does Shane do so good? They could try to emulate. I was like, well, I don't really race with him very much. He's so far ahead of me. So at least for the start of the race, I'll be able to watch him. But like I said, proud of the effort, and new day to tackle tomorrow.
The 12 team will have the best view starting the race tomorrow, Dave.
Ross Chastain will start outside row 2. How well does that set you up for victory tomorrow?
I couldn't hear what you said, Dave, but
How well will outside row 2 set you up for a win?
I think it will. Well, in the truck race yesterday, it was pretty hard to start second row back on the outside, but the truck series noses fly pretty hard. So when I had the front row, I was able to get the lead yesterday. But the Cup Series is a whole other ball game. So my main thing is on Saturdays, I want to go almost as fast. Sometimes I want to beat
my teammates. So for SVG to be less than a tenth of a second ahead of me around a place like this is really something to be proud of for the one team, everybody at Trackhouse and GM that goes into building a sim program that I can drive, that I can learn on, and then I can come here and apply it to the racetrack. So there was a lot of questions this week, and there was a lot that I got out this week, and it just put itself right into the one car in a really good spot. So happy to be almost as fast as my really tall teammate.
Good day, good weekend so far for Russ.
Mamba mentioned it, the 150th career pole, Jeff, for Team Penske, but this might break up.
All right, we're going to go through the starting lineup. Again, I can't show you guys visually on our screen, but you got to hear interviews from pole sitter Ryan Blaney. Ross Chastain will be starting 4th tomorrow. Row 1 will be Blaney and Van Gisbergen, an SVG runner-up in the race a season ago. Ryan Blaney, a couple career top 5s, though not in the next-gen car at Watkins Glen. His first career pole at the racetrack. Row number 2 will be Chase Briscoe, who's qualified well all summer long, and Ross Chastain, who I just mentioned moments ago. Row 3 will be Kyle Busch, a former Watkins Glen winner, and Michael McDowell. Row number 4, Alex Bowman, Carson Hocevar, Christopher Bell, and William Byron, the 2023 winner of the race, will be in row number 5. In row number 6 will be Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, the defending winner of the race, Logano 2015 winner. Row number 7, Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs, Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski in row 8. Row number 9, Ryan Preece, AJ Allmendinger, the 2014 winner. And then Daniel Suarez and two-time Watkins Glen winner Chase Elliott in row number 10. Row 11 will be Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin, the 2013 winner of the race. Justin Haley with Josh Berry. Row 13 will be Connor Zilisch and Austin Dillon. Kyle Larson, two-time Glen winner, and the inside of row 14 to his outside Todd Gillen. Behind them in row 15, Riley Herbst and Eric Jones. And row 16 will be John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, Ty Dillon, Zane Smith in row 17. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gregson, row 18. Cody Ware and Catherine Legg, row 19. JJ Yaley, Josh Bilicki will bring up the rear of the field. So that is the starting lineup for the Go Bowling at the Glen tomorrow afternoon. We'll be live for that at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on the channel. And we'll be live for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race today at 3 p.m. Eastern, a little less than 1 hour from now. Hope to see you for that one and many other live commentary streams to follow for the rest of the year, rest of the weekend. Have a good next hour or so. See you guys shortly. Thanks for watching all.